professors, researchers, homeopathy practitioners, students, brothers and sisters. I am very happy to be amidst you today, this morning, to inaugurate this conference where delegates from not only from India but also from many countries are all participating here. And the beauty of this conference is it's not only homeopathy practitioners but also people from IITs who are making research and then try to validate these formulations. It's an honor for me to be present here on the occasion of World Homeopathy Day. I would like to first of all salute the memory of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who started this movement. I always feel privileged when I attend a gathering of doctors, as they are the crusaders of building a healthy nation. A healthy nation is more important than a wealthy nation. If you are healthy, you can become wealthy. But if you are wealthy, there is no guarantee that you can become healthy. So that's why even our forefathers also in our country, India, people used to say, Arogya me Mahabhagyam. So health is the real wealth. When we talk of health, we don't talk of freedom from disease alone. It is not how world looks it anymore. The focus is both on preventive medicine as well as on the curative aspect, and the ultimate objective is well-being in all the three dimensions of human life. As the World Health Organization put it, health is inclusive of all three components of well-being: physical, social and mental. Then only you can call healthy. But how do you achieve this state of well-being? Through holistic method of treatment, what we call complementary medicine, alternative medicine, traditional systems. In India, we refer to them very preciously through the acronym Ayush systems. Each of the Ayush systems, Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha or homeopathy, exemplify the concept of holistic treatment. Sisters and brothers, as you are all aware, homeopathy had its origin in the 18th century, and by 19th mid-century, it has created a wave in Germany, USA, UK, and even in India. A friend, delegates from Israel, he was saying we are now trying to popularize it more in their own country. Many people in India grew accustomed to its use for their day-to-day and chronic complaints, eventually necessitating the enactment of Homeopathy Central Council Act in 1973. As the demand for homeopathy grew, there was a need for a comprehensive system to promote education and research as well as for registration of homeopathic practitioners. Homeopathy treatment is now offered in many primary and secondary health centers in India and also in some tertiary facilities. At many places, it is an integral part of health programs like Swasthya Rakshana program. I am told the program of homeopathy for healthy child is aimed at screening, early diagnosis and management of common diseases of children and adolescents. Under the National Program for Prevention and Control of Cancer, Diabetes, Cardiovascular Diseases and Strokes, homeopathy has been integrated in some districts to prevent and treat lifestyle-based non-communicable diseases. I am aware that homeopathy is witnessing a major demand in India. Of the total Ayush dispensaries of central government, 30% are homeopathic dispensaries. The number of institutionally qualified registered practice is also going up. I am told as of now, we have about 2.8 lakh homeopathic doctors in our country. As regards its acceptance among the people, I think it has gained in popularity because of affordability and palatability. In addition, there has been a general perception of its compatibility. So affordability, palatability and compatibility with other systems of medicine. In a way, this system seems to be ideal for Indian context. And I would like to see a day when homeopathy comes to every home. Homeopathy to home. Wherever there is a need. As part of strengthening our traditional and complementary medicines, we have to take homeopathy to masses in the interior remote places where it is practically difficult to dispense medicines owing to lack of logistics or due to limited resources. Homeopathy is cost effective, easy to administer and has no side effects or after effects, no defects. It provides an appropriate solution for many challenges we are facing in India or in the globe due to paucity of resources today. Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, whose birthday we are celebrating as Homeopathy Day, was a man of great insight and one of the most analytical minds of his times. Homeopathy is one of the greatest discoveries of the 18th century, and the mankind cannot thank this great man enough for gifting it to us. Sisters and brothers, any science can never be static. The scientific approach, by definition, involves constant probing, constant questioning, and the basics, the testing the hypothesis and gathering evidence. I congratulate the Ministry of Ayush and CCRH for organizing this convention with the stimulating theme, Innovate, Evolve, Progress. We all need to innovate, progress and evolve with the changing times and contribute to health research. I am glad to know that homeopathy is revisiting its old concepts in a light of new understanding of science. A strong scientific basis to homeopathic medicines, which was hidden for centuries, have been discovered by a group of Indian scientists. I am proud that the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy has taken a leadership role and is working with the researchers of IIT Mumbai to uncover new facts about homeopathic medicines to benefit the world. The new way of homeopathic potentiation will use defined raw materials for preparation of medicines not available in some cases as of now. The regulation of the new way of potentiation, which can evolve to future to keep pace with widely availability of sophisticated instrumentation of nanotechnology and biology, would be a step in the right direction. I am delighted to know that many homeopathic doctors are using software for better record keeping. I am told that there are homeopathy-based mobile apps to guide you in your studies, literature, review, and you have internet-based applications for storing and sharing information with the homeopathic community worldwide. This is really commendable because you have to learn from the best practices. You have to learn from the experience of other people. There is a saying, wise men learn from others' experience and fools learn from their own experience. People all gathered here are all wise men. They try to learn from others' experiences. That's why these sort of conferences, this sort of understanding. I am informed that the scientists from physics, chemistry, biogenetics and pharmacology have taken the onus of bringing out many little or yet unknown facts of homeopathy to the fore for everyone to see, and that some of them are present with us in this hall today. I compliment them and I hope that they will succeed in their mission in the future. This year also marks the completion of 40 years of untiring work of Central Council for Research in Homeopathy. I am aware of the Council's achievements and how it has evolved and grown with the last 3 days, I am suffering with running nose. Against advice of the doctors, I am running from one state to another state for the programs. I am aware of the achievements, but there is still a long way to go. That's why the internationally accepted research designs by constituting committees and subcommittees of experts from various fields for technical auditing at every stage is very much required. I am particularly glad to note that the Council's laboratories in Kolkata and Noida have state-of-the-art facilities for cutting-edge research. Its collaboration with reputed institutes of science like IIT Mumbai, School of Tropical Medicine and Bose Institute Calcutta are just few examples of many such collaborations. Of course, there is a lot more that can be done in the field of homeopathy research. I wish the researchers may get success as they continue their trial of discovery and innovation. Before concluding, I would like to emphasize that in Indian context, we would be aware of not only the disease burden but also the high economic cost to families because of this disease burden. We should make our health care systems more affordable to common citizens. What is the ultimate aim of the science? Betterment of the life of the people. I am aware of the initiatives taken by the Union government under various programs, including the most recent health insurance program called as Ayushman Bharat. These schemes need to be effectively implemented. Public health schemes and preventive health also need considerable strengthening. Preventive measures are required. Homeopathy holds great promise and has untapped potential to deliver both preventive and curative care to the citizens at affordable cost. I am hopeful that this potential would be realized and homeopathy would be integrated in a research fashion with the healthcare system of our country. Then it will get more and more acceptance. At the end, I would like to compliment the Minister of Ayush, the Central Council for Research and Homeopathy for organizing this scientific convention, and I hope each delegate of this convention will go back with a pledge to innovate, evolve and progress in advancing science for the welfare of humanity. Friends, I would like to stress on two additional points. One is, there is every need to treat this as a mission. Homeopathy is a mission, not for commission. There should not be any omission or should not give any remission for the ethics and values and standards. That's my first advice to all people. The second one is the medical fraternity, be it allopathy, homeopathy or Unani or all. We should focus more on creating awareness among the people, the need for lifestyle changes. That's the need of the hour, not only in Indian context but also worldwide. People used to live friendly with nature, but in between we started destroying what is available, avoiding the nature, and then we are getting into the problems. Living with the nature, loving the nature and living with the nature. And any planning, nature, culture for a better future, that should be the understanding. If the nature and culture come together, you will have a better future. For that, culture means way of life, nothing more, it's not religion. Way of life. Our lifestyles have undergone a change. In India, at least I can say, the civilization has survived because we used to live with the nature. Some time back, I went to London, and when I was driving, the car driver told me, "Sir, good morning." I said, "Good morning." "Sunny day." He said, "Sunny day." I said, "Today is your son's birthday?" He said, "No, sir, sunny day. Sun is very bright." Then I told him, "Poor fellow, in India, 365 days are sunny days." But we never took advantage of the sun. Now we started moving in that direction. We used to live in harmony with the sun, sunlight. Secondly, air, fresh air. Thirdly, good water, light, air, water. These things are missing in our life. We are going for an artificial light, dim light. And also, mind also is becoming dim. It may appear to be trim, but it really is dim. The natural light has the high potential. We should start again living with that. Living outside the AC room for some time. And also breathing the fresh air, because we have polluted the air by our lifestyle. And now we are having problems, and people in Delhi, they are very familiar. Even Western countries also are realizing. That's why we have that 20 summit in Paris, where all of us have come together. And then at the end of it, you must also take care of the greenery, the trees. Our tradition, our culture says used to respect trees and also used to treat them as devatas, goddess. That's the great culture of this country. We treat animal. We have a festival for animal. Sankranti, Karma Pandaga we call it. And we decorate animals that day. That shows the civilization, that means respect. Take care of them. Cattle wealth is national wealth. We are losing it. So all this, that greenery, it makes you very comfortable, make you to have positive thinking, and then gets you good oxygen. All these things are the beauty of the nature. If you have this beauty, you will do your duty in a better manner, and you can become mighty also in your life. So these things are necessary. But unfortunately, the fastness in life has come. Everybody is busy, busy, busy. I did some research on this busy. What is the busy? And I interviewed a number of people. I was in politics till the other day. I worked from grassroots level. And I used to see people who used to say, busy, busy, sir, I'm busy, sir, today. Yesterday I was busy, sir. What is busy? Without knowing what is busy, he is busy. You have 24 hours time. Out of the 12 hours are right. Just like that. And our lifestyle, from mind to body, everything has changed. You are thinking fast, but not acting fast. You get up. Earlier, you used to address nature call, you have to go to a little distance. Now there is no need, we should not go also. We have a toilet, ready-made toilet. And Prime Minister Modi has given a call for Swachh Bharat. We are progressing on that count. And then even we go to bathroom, we have to go to a corner, bend, take water, pour it on our head and body. No need. You press the button, shower comes. There is no need to bend also. Then to eat food, you have to sit on the mat earlier. Now you are sitting on a dining table. And even eating also, now you have fork and spoon. You have even washing also, you have a finger bowl. Need not go out and wash your hand also. And even to pick up a phone, first you used to go to telegraph office, telephone office. Now it is in a corner of the house to pick up the phone. No need to go. Phone is coming to you. It's coming to your ear, it's coming to your mouth also. To open the door, you used to go out and open the door and somebody knocks the door. Now no need. Press the button, door is open. To start the car or a vehicle, you need to put some energy. Now no necessary. Button, car starts. The entire life. And the food which we are eating, stored food, junk food. Even Indians, we used to eat food according to seasons. All our fruits, all our vegetables, all our flowers, all our other things are as per the seasons. Now we are getting things out of season. They are not tasty, but size-wise they are good. Taste-wise, they are not. Health-wise also that not should, because the season is one thing and you are eating out of season something. And then you have pizzas, you have burgers, you have this, you have that. I don't know many of the names. You have Manchuria, Bulgaria, Somalia, whatever in food. The time-tested food which you used to eat, that is missing from the menu. You may think, what is this? Vice President is saying some small things. Small things are required. The lifestyle changes, has to change. It must start at home. It must start with you. That's why all these diseases, no physical activity at all, no walking, only loose talking now and then. See, if you do some exercise, the body will be controlled and also mind will also be under control. And if you pay some attention to this, there won't be tension to your mind. And if you are peaceful, then you will move progress. Peace and progress go together. So, my advice to all the people in this profession, honorable profession, is educate the people. First, educate them the need for lifestyle changes, and educate them about the need for living with the nature. That is very much essential. These are the two advices I want to give in addition to your profession. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramaya. This is a prayer from our ancient literature. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. May everyone be happy and free from disease. May everyone see goodness all around, and that not only one suffer, not even one suffer in this world. That is our prayer. But at the end of it, your health lies in your hands. So take care of your health. Wealth will come automatically. That has to be understood by one and all, and it is the duty of us to educate the people, because prevention is better than cure. That's what our elders have said. So I wish you all the best for having meaningful, constructive deliberations and discussions the coming 2 days, and arrive at some meaningful, purposeful, useful conclusions for the betterment of the lives of the mankind. That's my expectation from this conference. I once again thank the Minister for giving me this opportunity to come here and inaugurate this August conference, and I convey my best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.